In the last video where I talked about cursed images, I said that if it got 15,000 likes, then I would make another video on it. 7 months later, it's currently sitting at 22,000 likes, so here you go. If this video isn't satisfying enough and you want me to make another video on finding the origins of cursed, weird pictures, then let's shoot for 20,000 likes on this one. Also, if for some reason you haven't seen the other 2 videos in this series, then I'd suggest you go and watch those before or after this video. Thank you. The first picture I'll be talking about is of a bunch of people dressed up as Winnie the Pooh. The first thing that came to my mind was that if there was some sort of Winnie the Pooh fan club gathering thing, then it would be pretty easy to find this event online. Unfortunately, there was little to no answers in regards to this picture's backstory. What I did come across was this little excerpt from some website in 2014, and it says this. The apocalypse is here, and it started in Kazimierz Dolny, Poland, where hundreds of Pooh streamed out of the 100-acre wood in search of honey. This was my first lead. Apparently, this picture was taken in some Polish town, but once again, I found nothing. There was different posts on places like 9gag and Twitter that talked about some international Winnie the Pooh gathering that happens in Poland, but there's literally no other information I could find about it. This one Reddit post was asking about the image, and even confirmed that the picture was taken in Kazimierz Dolny, Poland. You can see it in this Google Street View. It's the same place. At this point, I was starting to consider that the image might be fake. I mean, there was little to no information about the actual event, and something like this almost feels too silly and too good to be true. And if this occurrence were to have ever occurred, I would have definitely found some other alternative pictures and angles of this. The last thing I did was put this picture into photo forensics, which can pretty much detect when an image is altered by looking through its metadata and other smart stuff. Sure enough, any use of Winnie the Pooh in the cursed image was highlighted and outlined with purple, which leads me to believe that this is indeed fake. I couldn't find the madman who created and uploaded this picture, but they most likely took a bunch of different shots of themselves in the Winnie the Pooh costume, and pretty nicely put it into the original photo of this Polish town. And while on the topic of finding the origins to stuff, let me ask a quick question. What if someone were to find your social security number as easy as it is finding a cursed image? Let me cook. Today's video is sponsored by Aura. And I believe it's a pretty important time to be talking about them because hackers may have stolen the social security number of every person in the United States. Recently, over 2.9 billion records were stolen from National Public Data, which provides personal information to employers and others that do background checks. These stolen records can include a person's full name, address, date of birth, phone number, and most importantly, their social security number. Not just this, but this hacker group has reportedly released all this personal information on the internet for free. In the past, I've had things like my Fortnite account get stolen, and that didn't make me feel very good. So you can imagine how bad it feels knowing that my personal information and personal data can be on the internet somewhere and someone could get it. It's not cool. If you weren't already taking the precautions to protect your personal information online, then this should be a huge wake-up call. You have literally never been more vulnerable than you are right now. Thankfully, because of Aura, I'm not worried about it. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points like the dark web and public court records, to detect and alert you to potential identity theft. They even give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario occur. Along with this, Aura also provides a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside of one app. You can go to my link, aura.com/jadeandsalads, to try 14 days for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if your personal data is exposed. I highly recommend that you do this right now or after watching this video, because not only is National Public Data not going to help you, they probably aren't going to face any repercussions for this massive leak. All I know is that I won't be leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches anymore, and if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/jadeandsalads to try 2 weeks for free. I recommend it. In another series I have, which is about finding the origins to liminal space images, I once found where this mouth room came from. That ended up being at a museum in Costa Rica, while this cursed image was taken in, well, let's start from the beginning. We have this picture, which has some fancy people inside of a massive mouth. If you're into vor, then this may be your next dream vacation. It turns out that this cursed image is from a stock photo website called Alamy. The title of this picture is Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands takes a look at the exhibition Corpus Journey Through the Human Body in the Netherlands. So, there you have it. The lady in this is the former Queen of the Netherlands, and she was at this museum back in March of 2008. Thankfully, as far as I know, this exhibit of the museum is still around, and it looks pretty cool. The museum is called Corpus and is located in Netherlands. To some people, this image may be wholesome and just a pic of some guy enjoying his My Little Pony hobby, but regardless of what you say, it's still pretty cursed. I tried putting this picture into the 10i picture search, and it gave me some results from a DeviantArt page back in 2013. Unfortunately, whenever clicking on these links, the pages are no longer available. I even tried putting the links into the Wayback Machine, but got no luck there. So what I ended up doing was highlighting a part of the file name that I found from 10i, and then putting that into Google. When searching that, I was somehow met with the Forsaken DeviantArt page that I couldn't access.
Since many ask for a size comparison of different models and something else to relate their size to, I am with them in the picture. Derpy is holding a DVD. I even dragged Clay Pinky onto the picture. I'm not that proud of her. I would make so many things different now, if I did her again, but oh well.
The origins of this cursed image just goes back to some brony showing off his My Little Pony collection, and props to him because they don't look bad, they look pretty well crafted. It's just that the mask looks pretty uncanny. I'm not a fan of the mask. The next picture is of a person walking up a staircase made of sliced bread. Thankfully, the origins to this weren't insanely hard to find. If you look closely in the bottom right of this usage of the picture, you'll see text that reads Meat Wreck. I then looked into Meat Wreck and came across this article written by Vice. These bewildering but beautiful photos boggle the mind. The article is pretty much about this artistic duo called Studio Meat Wreck. They specialized in creating some pretty surreal, humorous, and experimental photography. Refreshingly human, the team is unafraid to use their own bodies, which may peak flesh with veins and hair, to forward the style of the Meat Wreck project. It is within the space of boldness and decisive editing that lies the sweet spot where Studio Meat Wreck can play out its oddball fantasies, aestheticizing the contradictory, making everyday life unusual, and delivering their own artistic voice. Meat Wreck has a lot of other pictures that can definitely be classified as cursed, but the bread stairs may be their magnum opus. Sadly, it seems like Studio Meat Wreck is now a thing of the past, as their Instagram has been inactive since March of 2019, and their website is no longer available. One of the more popular cursed images on the list is the Snow Dog picture. I personally recognize this one from the Boyhood album cover, an album by Birthday, or signed Crush's Motorist. But Birthday, the musician, did not take this picture, as it actually dates back all the way to 2003. In December of that year, this picture would be taken of a dog named Miktar. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, I'm sorry. While writing this part of the video, I came across this page on a website called The Breeding Archive. To my surprise, it has the Snow Dog's entire life pretty much written onto the page. Miktar was born on April 27, 1996, and would live until 2004, whenever he would pass away to liver failure. May he rest in peace. During his life, this dog would have a child in May of 2004, but the puppy would sadly pass away just 8 months later at random. I guess bigger dog breeds just have a tendency to die randomly, I don't know. Going back to the breeding archives for the Snow Dog, I think it's pretty fascinating that the entire family tree of Miktar has been documented, and it even goes back as far as the early 1970s. Like, you can see this dog's entire ancestors and family history. Like, I didn't know this existed. I'm not really sure what else to add, but F's in the chat for the Snow Dog and his kid. For the next cursed picture, we have this legend. When researching this image, I didn't come across much of anything until I found a guy doing the exact same thing in the exact same kitchen. Either there's a content house full of dudes doing this, or there's something much more sinister going on. Something like an upside down house in the middle of Russia. That's exactly what this is. I found what seems to be a Russian reviewing website, and on this page of an upside down house attraction, there's different pictures taken of the kitchen scene in the cursed images. Sadly, my idea of a content house full of dudes doing this is not reality. If you care to visit this place in the future, then make a trip to the Upside Down House in Kabardinka, Russia. I will say that I don't know if it's actually still around in 2024, as the last review I saw dates back to August of 2022, so that's a whole 2 years that something could have happened. Maybe this place blew up, who knows. Along with this, you should also note that the reviews on this page are pretty negative. You have people calling the place overpriced, nasty, feelings of rocking around, not very conveniently located, and even uninteresting. One more side note, by the way, I guess upside down houses are fairly common in Russia as some sort of wacky attraction. I stumbled onto this TripAdvisor page for one of these houses in Moscow, and the reviews are much kinder than the first one I just talked about. So maybe take a detour from the one in Kabardinka and go to the upside down house in Moscow, Russia. It seems like a better time. This next entry is one of my favorite cursed images of all time. I tried covering this one in the last video I made, but for some reason I fumbled the bag and couldn't find its backstory. Luckily, here I am, and you're about to learn. This photo is commonly known as Dadsgiving, or according to Know Your Meme, that's what it's called. I give all my credit for this part of the video to Know Your Meme, shout out to them, they're cool guys. The photographer behind this legendary picture is Chris Maggio. Similar to Studio Meatwreck, Chris is very talented at creating very experimental, avant-garde, and boundary-pushing art. I also didn't know this, but this guy actually took the picture for this 100 Gex album cover. I just thought that was pretty cool and had to mention that. Going back to Dadsgiving, here's some other pictures taken from this legendary photo shoot. This one is my second favorite. And as it turns out, Chris is actually behind a lot of other popular cursed images. I found an old Vice article from December of 2013, and it features some of Chris's best and recognizable work. You have the dudes eating food on the floor with the guy in the window, the Cheeto wreath, and the list goes on and on and on. Chris is still around and still uploads some peculiar imagery to his Instagram, so that's there if you'd like to check it out. We have to pay respects to a cursed images legend. The last picture I'll be covering is this one right here. Originally uploaded to BuzzFeed in the early months of 2011, this article featured a variety of pictures of this guy and his ladies. Honey Bear, she likes to read books sometime. I think she is a bookworm. Sasha Rabbit to bell dance. Because of the BuzzFeed article that pretty much outed this random dude's fetish for stuffed dolls, it briefly blew up on the internet that year. It spreaded to random forum boards where people would feel sympathy for the lonely guy, or just be amazed that this actually exists. I did find the origins of these pictures, as when you click the link at the bottom of the BuzzFeed article, it takes you to a now defunct Flickr page that's called Honey Bear Doll. My theory is that this guy was just uploading the now infamous pictures to his Flickr account with no intent of a bunch of people finding out, and then quickly privating everything when it eventually blew up. I did try putting the page into the Wayback Machine, just to see what it looked like back then when the pictures were still on the page, but that did not work out. The main thing I have to say for this one is that there were apparently some stop motion animations of the dolls doing various activities like skateboarding and even riding bikes. Unfortunately, these videos are now privated or deleted, like I don't know where they would be, so it's lost media. This guy's collection was pretty big, and I'm just left wondering what he's up to in 2024, and if the dolls are still around. If this guy's happening to watch the video, I hope you're doing good, dude. This is cool. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the video, and thank you to Aura for sponsoring it. As always, thank you to everybody who makes and sends me fan art. It always looks freaking awesome. You already know how this goes. And shout out to everybody on the Patreon. African Sugars, Basmic, Bella M, Big Jickle, Damn Sandy, Esso Boomin, Evan W, Eyeball Dude, Shara, Josh S, Josh Wynn, Landon Rodriguez, LeBron James Hairline, Leon S, Lostas, Lottie Dottie, Max the Alien, Mommy Trash Sack, Matt Sat on a Cat, Miko, Microwave Be Like Must Lord, Primavera, Racetrack Dragon, RBC Denson, Matt McCusker, Cher, Shiny Breakson, Teeth Consumer, and Zyre.
I go to sleep at 9 o'clock, this bitch stays up all night, but I see through you. I took a nap right on my glasses.